discussion. That's kind of a remarkable number that we tend to forget. That basically that whole process of industrialization, we think, okay, that's when a lot of wealth was created. But the reality is that the entire economy didn't grow for 9 decades, for 90 years. The effect was that because of this lack of synchronized wealth growth, so that only the people who would be able to invest in machinery and factories, they were the ones who were reaping the benefits of industrialization, while the average laborer was working at subsistence level, which was actually completely supported by the economic theory at the time, that if you would pay a laborer more than what he absolutely needed to survive, then you would lose your labor supply, because they would take days off and would drink too much and whatever. So there was very little trust in the economic factor labor. So basically we would not be we as capital owners would have to make sure it was prudent to pay people to the absolute minimum. Otherwise it would have an adverse effect on labor productivity.
So this means that if the manual the labor force human will be replaced by AI. So that's going to be
that could actually lead to an economic decrease. If we do not share the benefits,
size.
So well, basically, because we would actually reduce the consumption capacity. So we'd always, like, you can create better, more efficient ways, but ultimately the whole system, what we produce, needs to be consumed. If we don't consume it, the economy doesn't grow. So it's crucial that if we come up with better ways to produce things, we also have to come up with better marketing to actually sell it. And we need to give people money to actually buy all this stuff. So what could happen if in AI, if this only gets into the hands of a handful of people, it was what's happening with the Facebooks and the Googles at the moment, then and we cannot redistribute this wealth, then there is a significant risk that's the parallel that he's making, that actually we come into a period of economic stagnation, where a few people will become very rich and the majority will actually not see their income grow or decrease, which leads to an overall economic downturn that could last quite some time until we actually figured out what we can really do with AI and how we can apply it into ways that we haven't figured out at the moment, and actually trigger new consumption, new patterns of
We're
consumption.
talking about unemployment ratio will going to increase.
So more unemployed. Also, technology will compete with labor, so that will put a negative pressure on labor, on wages. So that if you put these things together,
3 weeks ago we discussed 15 jobs will disappear, and including lawyer and accountants, and many jobs will disappear next several years.
White collar labor,
Expensive
white collar labor.
I mean replacement.
Yeah, that will be replaced.
But sort of things is like 100 years ago, industrialization. At that time, they said same thing, right? Many people.
Exactly.
But now is even many people talking about, okay, we don't need white collar employee, but actually it's going to be happening. Okay, current job will going to disappear, but usually in the past history, we're going to get another job opportunity.
I think that will happen. So because actually we talked about that also before. There's one constant that people always want more, even though we could actually get the same income level working less. People always be inclined to work more than what is strictly needed, because they want to get the newest thing. So the electronic car, the smartphone, data services, things that we cannot even imagine right now of what they're going to ask for in the future. But that's going to be like a life necessity nowadays. Not having internet is like basically violating human rights. 20 years ago, people didn't even bother to get internet connectivity, but now it's a must. So now everybody, without even thinking about it, they're spending $50 a month on internet connectivity. They're spending another $100 on their smartphone bill. This is $150 that people are everywhere around the world. They're just spending, which we couldn't foresee.
But recently, actually, in the States, homeless people drastically increasing because blue-collar people cannot get job. Drastically increasing homeless. Those sort of things prevailing in all the level of the developed country. Developing country, they have big opportunity since they have. What do you think about this?
Yeah, the universal basic income is being discussed, but this is also the spending. So not creation of the new form of the spending, consumption. So there's still some cause for optimism to make the economy growth.
Yeah,
consumption.
I think basically we need to really reconsider like labor and our whole economic system. If you look at what the economic system is doing to our society, it is like, for example, it is not really democratic in a sense that let's take pollution, CO2. Pollution is it is very interesting for people who have money to invest that in industries that could be heavily polluting. But that interest, it's not good for society as a whole, but it's very good for the people who do it. Now, since we are not putting a price on the external effects of production, we can do that. We can free ride our environment because our economic system doesn't take these external effects into account. But that is something that we take for granted because that's the system we've grown up with. But if we question this, and then we could say, okay, well, maybe we need to reinvent the way that we are running our economy. And I think it's really about time. And we see also more and more economists are thinking about alternative ways in which we could organize ourselves, where we say, okay, well, of course we need economic growth.
This kind of things happened in Japan 40 years ago. Climate change, we have lots of smokes, and that kind of pollution drastically improved within decade or 2 decades. Everything disappeared. Clean air, and China in the terrible situation. South America is also Mexico is terribly polluted, but it is developing countries and developed countries, they're going to be solved by themselves because population themselves, they complained a lot, right?
In the year 2000, when I came to Japan for the first time, I had a lot of problems with the air quality. Asthma was terrible, and I thought, okay, I will never go back to this country because I can't.
But I tell you, but this will going to be solved because Chinese people also, they don't like pollution because they, blessing every day, so they confronting with the kind of that situation. They are pushing government and they need to change regulation, and this is going to be solved anyway.
Right.
right? So problem is two issues. One issue is IT revolution, we're losing a job, and second issue is developing country getting more power, so they're going to get job from developed country. Like a good example, like a programmer, from shifting from Japan to Vietnam, or outsourcing. So sort of things is more quickly kind of situation will going to be changed. So advanced country will increase their unemployment ratio because workers' job will shift into developing country, and AI will going to eliminate certain level of skilled workers' job. And do you remember 3 weeks ago we discussed we don't take low skilled worker, we don't take high end skilled worker. Middle class people will going to losing job, and one is for AI, the other one is shifting to developing countries. So today is I want to discuss about what next.
But the bulk of the money will flow back to the developed nations because they own the technology, they own the AI, they own the companies who actually are outsourcing this development. So what these developed nations, what the rich nations need to do is they need to think about it.
That the money is not going back to the middle income people, going back to top end people.
Yes,
so
exactly. But then the next question is, how are we going to tax those top end people? How are we going to make sure that we create a balanced economy where we actually have consumers, where we and basically the fact that people are not working, are not they don't have productive jobs.
Yeah, some
amount
of money is taxable, but majority is very difficult to tax them. Do you know the Google president? Which president? He got 135 million US dollars last year's salary. 135 million.
135.
Yeah, well, if you look at it, but if you think about what profit this company makes.
Yeah, but what I'm talking about, rich people more rich. So even
is that the Indian guy? Did he make 135?
Who's that? Who's he? Some Jeff Bezos or some?
No. Bezos is from not from Amazon, from Salesforce.
Yeah, that's kind of people.
Right.